Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a review for the movie Reap from Bayview Entertainment. It currently gets a 2.4 on IMDb. It's considered horror and suspense. It's from 2020 and it clocks in at an hour and 29 minutes. And I apologize about my voice this morning. I've gotten a little sicker since last video, but let's go on with the review. But currently, you can purchase this on Amazon Prime for nearly $3. I'm not sure if you can get it on Tubi TV because I know last review I was able to. You were able to watch Todd on Tubi TV as well, and I'm not sure if it was available. I did look it up on Bayview Entertainment, which is a free app. Movies they have over 600 titles. I found that out too as well. But check Bayview Entertainment's Roku channel out. It's free of charge. Like a lot of apps usually, but I just wanted to make sure with the good folks at Bayview, that it was free, and it's confirmed it's free. The director is Joe Leone, and he was also the writer. It stars Alexis Abrams as Francesca, Angelica Aroliga as Stephanie, Gregory Barker as a security guard Reynolds. I'm just more or less wrote down the stars in the way IMDb had it. Andrew Burdett as Jake, and Gabriella Chuili as Melanie. She too did the makeup effects for this movie as well. And a special thanks to Abhaya Yoga Studio for their I guess where they must have maybe filmed a lot of the movie. This too, this too is in conjunction with the Good Brother production company as well as Bayview Entertainment. It was released on September 15th, 2020 of last year. It does have an official website page as well, and a teaser trailer on there if you happen to click on the link for that, for the Reap official website page. It was filmed in a location at Sussex, New Jersey, and it has a budget of only $15,000, which is incredible how they pulled this off. And made it look much more expensive. But basically, the plot is that when an unexpected visitor turns up at a house party, she informs the guests they are destined to die that night. The doomed revelers must find replacement souls to take their slots. But we open the movie right off the bat with an H.P. Lovecraft quote about fear. We see a girl laying in the bed. The doors open a tad. And then next thing we know, we see a man is standing over her and stabs her in the back of the neck. And then we see the words Mount Vernon Psychiatric Ward pop up on the screen. So we're to assume that this guy was an escaped mental patient. We see what looks to be a security guard dead on the ground. I take it that must be security guard Reynolds that's in the starred in it, but he really wasn't in it for very long. We see a couple girls pull up in a car. At this point, it isn't established who they are, but the girls are Francesca and Stephanie. I need to get a cough drop. I'm sorry. I don't have one. Oh, okay, I do have one. Sorry. I need something to keep my throat from tickling, and I apologize. I really shouldn't be even probably doing a video because I'm not feeling the greatest today. We see a couple girls pull up in a car, and it's Francesca and Stephanie, and they're going to a house party. I'm trying to think. Stephanie's the one that's more or less born again Christian, and she's really shy. So they both go in and start to take part in the festivities, and they start to have a little bit of fun, although Stephanie's kind of a little timid. She doesn't really at least doesn't appears to not really like the party. We then see a girl who's getting high and is approached by I believe his name was Bradley. I'm not real sure because a lot of the names, unless you paid really close attention, a lot of names for these characters were not really thrown around too well. So you had to kind of guess, like by going back later in the IMDb. That's one of my only small miniature complaints about the movie is lack of uh, kind of like plugging their name throughout. Like there really wasn't a lot of name throwing out there, so I was kind of I mean, other than the main girls, I really was kind of confused on who was who. Maybe a couple guys I got to know after a while, but um, she's approached by Bradley, who wants to get high as well. She begins bragging about all different kinds of drugs her supplier, I think his name was Frisco, could get her. We then see a couple guys on a couch. I believe their names were Ern and Jake, and they're checking out the girl that is talking about the drugs. Uh, Jake is obviously crushing on her, making eyes at her, until his buddy Ern on the couch gets him out of his staring gaze, and they both kind of talk about what they plan on doing for the night at the party and getting hammered more or less. Then in walk the two girls, Stephanie and Francesca. Uh, they happen to catch the attention of the two guys on the couch. Stephanie and Francesca are their names, like I mentioned. Stephanie is overly shy, like I mentioned as well. The girls are then seen going to talk to the guy who wanted drugs in the beginning. They small talk, and Francesca leaves Stephanie to talk to Bradley, like she's kind of trying to set him up a little bit. It appears the place where they're holding the party is Rachel's parents' house. It's established at this point. It's obvious that Francesca is the more daring of the two girls because we see her off in the distance sniffing cocaine and getting high. And it seems like they go in the kitchen together. The three girls, Francesca, one of the other girls, I'm not real. I think it was maybe Stephanie. No, it wasn't Stephanie because she was talking to Bradley. Was another girl and Rachel, and they see a story about the town councilman who apparently is involved in a town scandal with some underage teenage girls. It's a big story in this movie, at least in their world. It's the girls are creeped out about how much of a pervert he is. Rachel then sees what they're looking at as well. She pokes fun at the story herself. Rachel is then shown making eyes at a guy with long hair, or Ern, if you will. They kind of secretly have a thing, but he has a girlfriend as well. We then see a girl get out of bed. So I don't know if they're trying to say the girl in the beginning that got stabbed in the back of the neck when that guy came to stab her set this all in motion. Now she's what is known as the undead girl. I think basically hell on earth was unleashed when this prisoner or psychopath escaped. It unleashed hell on earth for this particular house for the rest of the night. Let's see. But we see her get out of bed, and then she goes out to the street. Let's see. Okay, then we see Rachel and Ern with her secret little affair in an empty bedroom. He tries to take it a little further, but she tells him to go back to the party. So they go back to Rachel, the hostess for the party, goes back to it. Jake is then seen trying to dance with the two girls from behind, like they don't know what's going on, and they turn around and catch a glimpse of him doing it, and just like kind of shun him off, like get out of here. So then he goes back and sits on the couch, and his friends start picking on him about Bradley starts picking on him about how he's not too smooth with the girls, and The conversation turns into what is going on in Jake's life right now, and that kind of thing. Then the conversation turns back to Jake, um, once again about his confidence with women, and his friend leaves him alone, and Jake friend and starts to uh, Bradley. I got to get that name right. Bradley starts to get a text from someone. I take it's someone at home. I guess they say later on who his name is. At this point, I hadn't had it written down because, like I said, the character development was kind of slow at this point for me because like you didn't really know too many names. Uh, I like my names right off the bat. Like I like a line like "Who are you now? What's your name?" or something like that. But we didn't really get that character development right off. The girl was talking to him about the girl that was talking to Bradley earlier in the film ask him if he's okay because she sees these texts have him a little off kilter. He assures her that he's just checking in with his family, but something seems a little off with Bradley's story, like he's intimidated, or it's revealed later on why. Then Rachel gathers up the group and she asks the group if they all want to partake in a game. So they all gather around her and they're all curious about the game. They begin to joke about the nature of the game, the typical party humor kind of jokes, like, is this a sex game? Or, they're kind of playing it off. But she tells them a couple of witches have infiltrated their peaceful village, which is their party. And they are the villagers. And they basically, two members are chosen to be the witches. And once they are accused, they must defend themselves to the group or the town. Rachel then tells them to lower their heads, and she tells them once she says the night has fallen, now she must pick who are the witches amongst the friends. And they do pick a couple, and they kind of like downplay being picked, and the game kind of goes south at that point because the girl that got stabbed in the neck just randomly shows up and walks in their door. Well, not yet, but is about to. Because we see our undead girl has killed a guy in the neighborhood that was sleeping while watching TV on the couch, and she stabs him in the neck. She leaves his house. You can tell she's obviously possessed at this point. She's walking funny. She's kind of cracking her neck in and out of place. Like I mentioned, Rachel is then proceeding with the game, leaving the group to physically pick out who among them is a witch in the game. The group accused Ern of being the one. And like I said, this is where I said that they picked a couple people, and he says that's okay because he has to go anyways. He has to pick up his girlfriend, even though he kind of has a thing for Rachel. And he says later to the partiers, the game seems to be irritating a few of the members of the group. Francesca votes Jake as the witch. Rachel tells him he's now dead because at some point he reveals who he is to the group or the village. And because he did that, he's dead, more or less. That's a part of the rules, I guess. If you reveal to the group who you truly are, you're eliminated. Rachel's about to pick up the game, but in walks this like I said, this girl that was murdered earlier in the movie, or so we thought. The one that had killed the guy on the couch. And this was at the point where I realized, this was the girl in the beginning, because it's kind of confusing for me, because I was like, who is this? And it's like, oh, shoot, this is that girl. I didn't really. It's kind of screwing with my head a little bit. So she, yeah, like I said, it dawns on me that she's the girl in the beginning. She claims to the group that she is using the girl's body like a vessel. The undead girl, the girl in this picture right here. She's basically using that body as a vessel. She tells them there is a man on the way there that will do them harm. If they walk out the door, they're all going to die. Uh, Francesca goes out the door and she's immediately impaled on a metal object. I guess it must have fell because there was nobody outside, so it must have been, you know, like a like an evil happening, like it just randomly fell on her. But she gets killed. Um, this the group this gets the group's attention at this point, so they all just kind of like don't even attempt to run for the door. She tells them she has to take 6 souls by I don't know if it's by midnight or by a certain time. She goes, but now I need 5 because obviously Francesca died. Basically, they have to take a life to save their own, or they die. Jake asks her why she's picking them on this night, and she kind of speaks in riddle with her purpose, calling it a need or a desire, like a virus. You have to take a life to replace a life. That's basically the whole thing with this movie. It's a take a life, replace a life kind of scenario. She's obviously not of this earth, at least in the form she's in this vessel. The group thinks it's all made up. Jake wants to kill her, but you can't really kill someone that is already dead. It looks like a member of the group wants to stand up to her, as they think this is all surreal. Uh, Another girl tries to go out a door and nearly gets uh, crushed by fallen debris, like trees. So I don't know if this is like like a otherworldly. No, I don't mean like UFO, but I mean like demonisk happenings, like you can make trees fall on people, kind of thing. Like kind of almost like a warlock kind of thing. But it nearly falls on her and nearly crushes her. Jake and his friends seek out the undead girl who's still in the house. Jake at one point tries to sneak up behind her with a fireplace poker, and he shoves it right through her, and she has little to no reaction to this, and you know that she's not humanistic if you shove that right completely through her. Uh, and then they just kind of like downplay it. She doesn't even get mad about it. Jake comes up with a plan. If they provide her with souls, uh, maybe they could take people in the world that the world wouldn't miss so much. Like scumbaggy people. Like people that do evil things to people and molesters and things like that. She tells the group, it doesn't matter. The clock's ticking. You need to appease her desire for the souls, or it'll be their own. What their souls would be hers. So they start to think of someone they could give to her. So they go with this guy named Hank. Hank turns out it's Bradley's. I don't know if it's his stepfather or his mother's boyfriend, but he's abusive to Bradley's mother and brother, and he's a real scumbag. So they devise a plan for Hank to show up there. They tell him they got this big, I don't know if they said like a big poker game going on at the party, and he's a bit of a gambler. So he shows up, he takes the call, and he's on his way over to where they are. Seems like Hank, like I said, hurts Bradley's mom and brother a lot physically. Hank shows up. The group subdue Hank enough for him to get smashed across the head with an object. I think it looked like a aluminum baseball bat that Bradley strikes him with, and it kills him instantly. And then it shows the man that's on his way over, that the she demon here is promising um, that is on the way to kill them all. He's taking out a guy on his way to where they are, that's on an evening stroll, taking his dog, I guess, to the bathroom or for a walk. they're thinking of another person to take out for the undead girl, and they can't think of anyone after Hank, that is lying dead on the floor. We then see Ern arrive to his girlfriend's, but he turns around and tells her that he left his phone book at the party, so he goes back. Um, they have their next victim. They come up with the councilman that I mentioned earlier that's going after teenage girls. So they send him I guess they like a few of his pics on his I don't know if on his like Twitter account. So they contact him, and he sees this, and he immediately message, messages him back, and his plan is set in motion. So he comes over, and he tells them that he will be there in 10 minutes. We then see Ern head back to Rachel's house where the party was to get his phone, because he tells his girlfriend he got all the way back home, but he couldn't. I don't know why you'd go all the way back for your phone. I mean, I wouldn't go all the way back, but this is what he does. The group are looking for weapons against the vile councilman, and they await his arrival. He gets there, and one girl stabs him, and he grabs her. But in the process, the councilman takes the knife and stabs Jake, and it kills Jake because he gets him really good with a good stab to the gut. So this plan kind of backfired, so they lost one of the group, and very kind or good-natured Jake, who's kind of like an innocent kind of kid. I hate it when pop-up enters come up. Rachel, where am I here? Yeah, basically what happens is it backfires, and Jake dies on the floor in front of the girls, and they're all crying and upset. Rachel thinks the undead girl wants them to do this because the group have all something dark in their past, and it is revealed that Stephanie in the group is a diehard Christian, due to the fact that when she was younger, she accidentally strangled her girlfriend at her own request, and she was Stephanie was a little high when it was going on, and she didn't really realize her own strength, and she choked her out, and she died at her own two hands. She panicked, and she left, but she was never caught, and I guess they must have just chalked it up to an overdose, and she's had to live with that, so she devotes her life to God. The next scene we see Ern is seen pulling over, fixing his car. Kind of a random scene, but it's necessary because it's the guy that's on the way to the house to kill the group. The group are working on finding 2 more people to sacrifice to the undead girl, because they've gotten 2 more since Hank, so they only need a couple more or 3 more for I like to call her the undead girl. They need to get a couple more sacrifices for the undead girl. Rachel, the group, still insists the group are being chosen due to a dark moment in time that is causing them to be targeted by the undead girl. We then see Reynolds tell his story of how he used to go to a local, not Reynolds, Bradley. I don't know why I keep getting that mixed up. Because Reynolds looks a lot like Bradley did in this movie, like in the IMDb like biopic of the actor. He apparently tells the group his bad deed was he went into a store and he stole like some food items for his mom and his brother because they were destitute. They had no money, and the deli manager, the store owner, catches him stealing, and he all but catches him going out the door. But I don't know if he Bradley pushes him down, and when he falls, he hurts something in his neck. And from what I gathered, he paralyzed him, and he's had to live with that ever since. Because I mean, if he wouldn't have been in there stealing, this guy would have been, up walking around normally. Uh, and he's had to live with that ever since. That's what he feels is his bad deed. Uh, but he did have to get food for his family, and I totally get that part at least. But per se, Bradley is a nice guy in this. He's not a criminal by any means. I mean, you have to do what you have to do to support your family sometimes, even if it means breaking the law. Um, I mean, within reason, not killing people or anything. But another girl in the group tells us a story, and the subject is brought up of a new drug. She tells this story. She's the kind of one that brings the drugs to the party kind of girl. She starts to tell the friends that are at the party. Uh, she's reflecting on what happened to her that was negative, that would be considered as dark. Uh, she's with a guy and a girl. I take it they're like not really friends, but they're like acquaintances that they just kind of hang out occasionally or for a first time. And the one girl mentions to our drug dealer, well, not really our bona fide drug dealer. Do you have that drug that is really powerful or something? And she's like, I do. Let me get it. And she gives it to the guy and the girl. And the girl gets really sick, as does the guy. But it kills the guy, and it nearly kills the girl as well. Um, our drug pusher here boards the bus and never went back. She later found out that the girl was fine, but the guy had died, and she kind of tried to shun that out of her life forever, but it still kind of is always there. And she decides that their next victim for the undead girls, for her to get a soul, should be this girl's drug dealer, Frisco. He should be the next victim, as the world does not need another one of him, because he's kind of like doesn't test his drugs and whatnot. But yeah, they want to off him. Uh, some time passes and the door opens, and the drug dealer girl here thinks that Frisco is coming through the door, but it turns out it's Ern, and he's obviously back there to get his phone, and she freaks out and she chops Ern in the back. So here's an unexpected victim, or a soul for our undead girl. She kills Ern, and now our undead girl only needs like one more soul. And at this point, it's established they only have 12 minutes left to find one last victim or soul. And then I don't know if she would get the rest of their souls, because I don't know, it isn't really established, but I would assume she would at least pick somebody to have her sixth soul. The undead girl seems to know something bad about Rachel, our lady that's hosting this party. It seems she was in a competition with another student. The two were in college together, and they're the only two up for a scholarship. So Rachel really wanted the scholarship back in college so bad that she more or less hires someone to roofie her competition. So what she does in the process, she grabs the girl's laptop that contains her thesis for to probably more than likely seal the scholarship for her, because she's like, you can tell she's a little bit more on the more intelligent side than Rachel. Like, she's a little bit more professional acting. So she obviously thought the girl was going to beat her in her thesis. So she takes her laptop and tells the guy she hired to get rid of the evidence. And due to that, Rachel wins her scholarship. Really underhanded thing she did. But she does get the scholarship. But in the process, it's revealed that the girl that she's in competition with becomes so irate and upset that she didn't get the scholarship and how her laptop was taken and everything, it sent her into another downward spiral, and she becomes so distraught that she ended up slitting her wrist in a bathtub and killed herself. And Rachel has had to live with that the entire time since her college days. Kind of bittersweet, in a sense, because it's like, yeah, you won, but you cost somebody their life because of something foolish. She should have just maybe not worried about the scholarship at that point. But it turns out the undead girl in this on the cover has been playing them for fools the entire time. She established she's a fallen angel, the devil, more or less. She more or less convinced them to commit the crimes just so that they will all be damned forever, and that their souls will be hers because they are killing people, which is considered evil. So now they're kind of like, prone to getting their souls taken already. Uh, Man, at the beginning of the that she keeps the that undead girl keeps telling is going to show up and try to kill them all. Shows up and he just comes in and he stabs Bradley pretty deep and kills him instantly. Uh, and then he kills a girl, the girl drug dealer, by squeezing her skull and crushing her head. And then we see he's after Rachel, but she gets him when he goes up the set of stairs. I believe she stabs him in the neck and kills him. So that leaves Rachel and Stephanie of the group only left. But then we see Stephanie pop up behind Rachel, and she slits Rachel's throat, which is a total swerve. It's shown that Rachel, or not Rachel, but Stephanie refers to the undead girl as her master. So I don't know if this was kind of like a plan all along. But anyway, it appears that Stephanie was a member of the Church of Satan. And not really religious like she made people believe. And it shows her in a flashback smothering a patient. I guess it must have worked in like an old retirement home. But it shows her smothering a patient. She says after she kills the patient, she kind of looks up and says, "This was for you." Like she was I don't know, I guess taking a soul for like the evil realm. And an unexpected thing happens as Stephanie goes to go outside after she leaves the party. The wife of the councilman shows up, and she's aiming a gun at Stephanie, and she says, "Oh, you're the girl that was coerced my husband to come here to have sex with him." And she's pointing a gun at her, and she's like, "No, that was all a lie. That was, because it was all a setup for the group to have him come with her so they could kill him for the undead girl or the fallen angel." And the wife shoots Stephanie, killing her, and then the wife shoots herself. And at this point, and basically it shows the undead girl and her accomplice, this soul. I don't know. He was determined like a soul keeper, like to make. He went along and collected the souls for her. So they had these jars of souls, and it shows that they're like in jars. And then once all of the souls are completed, the undead girl drops to the floor, dead in her earthly body. But now they have all their souls, and it kind of like leaves it open, like there could be a sequel. But that's my review on the movie. Very very detailed throughout. Kind of hard to follow at some point for me here and there. but I did really like it. Um, they did an amazing job with $15,000, but I don't get why it's getting a 2.4 on IMDb. Um, I didn't like this one quite as good as Todd, but I did like it. That was my last review, Todd. But it was a pretty fun little film. But yeah, that's my review, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good Wednesday, and be sure to check out Bayview Entertainment and give them, like, share, and subscribe to their channel um, on YouTube, and you can check them out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in for this review. Have a good day, and I'll be back again. Um, I'm not sure when I will be back because I'm probably going to take a little bit of a break just because of my cold. I want to get some meds in me and be more myself. But that's my review. Have a good day, and I'll see you again, guys. Later. Bye.